Hey guys, I am Game Advisor, and today we'll be going over the Icarus Week 49 update. This is going to be called Community Feedback 4, so let's just jump in and see what they've actually done. So as far as what we're actually going to be seeing this week is pretty minor tweaks or very slight updates. So let me just explain what they've actually gone ahead and added into the game. They are going to be doing some additional stuff in the future, but let me talk about what we have right now first. So the new features we're going to have available to us is going to be the ability to sit in chairs. I know, very exciting. However, if you want to sit in a couch, you're out of luck. You can only sit in chairs. Couches are not allowed. We don't have the technology, guys. It's just not there yet. Chairs, we got it. Couches, not so much. Other than that, they've gone ahead and added the water bomb to the actual unlock tree for your blueprints, so it's no longer a talent. This is something great if you actually decide that you want to use them. However, they suck. So if I'm being completely honest with you, I would tell you to not bother with it. It would be the last crafting recipe I would take, since it is basically completely worthless at this point in time. Maybe it'll see some upgrades in the future, but right now it is totally worthless. They've also gone ahead and added a wolf trophy for those of you who care about that, but that's not really a big deal to most people, I feel like. We've also got some new reworked previous features, and I'll just break these down for you as well. The repair hammer and upgrade hammer are now the same item. In other words, if you had an old one, they aren't going to work right anymore, so you'll just craft a new one. And this new hammer can do both jobs. It's very straightforward. It's very easy to use. If you get confused, just use the UI at the bottom right in order to figure it out. Nothing special, just, hey, don't have to unlock two different things anymore. We also have the fact that the ability to throw axes has actually been removed from the game. This is probably a temporary thing, at least I am hoping it is, since I'm sure some people like throwing axes. But either way, all this is going to do is make it so that you no longer have that talent, and instead you'll have a talent that's called Berserker, which will greatly increase your damage and attack speed at the expense of the durability of axes in order to make it a little bit better. There's another talent that makes that even better thereafter, but again, basically this turns you into an axe wielding hold left click attacker instead of using a knife kind of a person or a spear. You can now do that. You just won't be able to throw your axes anymore, which is unfortunate for those people who did like it, although I do feel like those people are few and far between. And then the last thing that we actually saw with this update that is remotely meaningful to us right here and now, not in the future, is the fact that you now have the bow crosshair on basically all your throwing weapons and any other ranged weapon, such as like spears for an example, for those of you who wanted it. It didn't seem fair that you had the bow crosshair for bows, but you didn't get it on any other weapon, so they've gone ahead and added that to throwing knives and spears and such, for those of you who care. Again, I don't think many people use throwing weapons. I do know some people use throwing spears, but again, I don't think this is that big of a deal, but it is just a nice quality of life change that I'm sure some people will appreciate. They then go in to talk more about their decentralization update and where they're at with that, so I'm going to leave that one to you guys to actually go ahead and read through, as it's not something affecting the player base at this moment in time. That is something in the future they are planning on adding. They also talk about Open World number 2, which is their planned update for next week. They say that open world has been a big success, which, if I'm being honest, I don't know a single person who has said they love the new open world system, but hey, it's a thing. They're looking at adding the dynamic quests required for you to build a new short-range radio on the planet, which you can then interact with to trigger the start of specific new objectives. This actually sounds kind of cool to me, because this will mean that open world is actually worth doing something in outside of what it was beforehand, which was just an outpost. It would be a cool way for us to actually get something meaningful through the open world mode. These are supposed to be dynamic quests that'll spawn, which to me sounds like randomly generated ones, or quests that are all going to be the same but just send you to different spots. And completing these quests will reward you with a new pod that drops down to the surface that, when interacted with, will provide you with a different option to choose from, such as food, ores, or tools for your payment. To me, that sounds horrible. I'd rather have just some money to be able to spend on my actual gear outside of the open world mode. Depending on the difficulty of the quest, you'll get different rewards, and you'll receive some XP, which is actually something that is notable. Hopefully it's a lot, because it'll mean open world mode is really good for leveling alts, but we'll just have to wait and see again. Dynamic quests are going to be their first step into building the open world mode, and they're planning to continue working on it. So for those of you who felt like open world mode was a total waste of time, don't worry. They're still working on it. They've got plans for it. We're just going to have to wait and see what they do. They do go ahead and talk about their future updates on performance optimization. And this is the last section I'm going to cover for you guys. And it basically just boils down to, hey, updates on performance optimization. We're still working on it, y'all. We're going to get there. It's complicated. You know, we've got things that you probably won't understand going on with this whole system that has to do with the code, and I do get that to a point. I know a lot of games struggle with this, particularly in the survival genre, but nonetheless, they are working on it, so you should see some more performance improvements in the near future. I really hope that these will come out before their DLC, as this is something to me that could be a huge impact to players coming back, as if the game still has bad performance, when an old player comes back to the game, they may just quit the second they boot it up, because they don't want to deal with playing at 30 or 40 FPS. I mean, I have pretty darn strong computer, and even I get like 40 to 50 FPS when I'm playing on max graphics, and there's a lot of building materials and other things nearby. Again, I know this isn't an important issue for everybody, but this is important for a lot of the player base, so I really hope they continue to optimize their game. And that is kind of going to wrap it up for us today, guys. I'm not really going to go into the changelog, as it just talks about everything I've already told you about. There is some minor changes, such as like grenades getting a slightly bigger explosion radius, which is cool and all, but outside of that, I'm just going to leave it to you guys to go down and actually go ahead and look at that if that's something you're interested in. With all that being said, I want to give a quick shout out to our Platinum and Above channel members, which include Caustic FPV, Jonathan S, and Jim Phillips. Thank you all so much for watching. I'm Game Advisor, and I'll see you next time.